Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com, here with the Amonkhet Pre-release Opening. This will be the one that I'm playing in the Amonkhet Pre-release, so we're just going to crack it open and then build a deck out of the packs that we get. Zach's giving me a knife. Alrighty, so the packaging is the boxes are getting better. This is pretty decent quality compared to some of the last ones, but how do I open this stupid thing? Slide it up. Slide it up. Hey, look at that. Alright, so we have a useless stuff, these little Trial of the Gods that... Wow! Okay, so my poem was actually pretty good. I'm not even going to read this stupid thing. I wanted a Gideon, but I'll have to settle for the Bontu the Glorified, which is in sealed. That should be pretty stupid good, I would say, because it's easy to activate. There are probably some better ones. The white one, I would say, is pretty good for sealed. The green one would be insane for sealed. I don't know, the green one might actually be a little bit harder to activate. No, because the thing that I like about the green one is it's so easy just to pump up one of your other creatures to get it online. But Bontu is pretty sweet as far as the ability to sacrifice creatures, scry one, and each opponent loses one life, you gain one life. So you can just start taxing your opponent. So all those like 1s and 2 drops that get outclassed later on can then be used for Bontu the Glorified. And he's very hard to attack into, so I'm okay with that. I am definitely okay with the promo being a mythic. And everyone knows I am a black player. Black by far is my favorite color, and even that goes even further in limited and draft. I am a huge fan of black. So, first pack. First pack we have a Sparring Mummy, which is fine for tapping creatures down for a turn. We have or untapping. Yeah, untapping the Exert card. That's what that one does. The other Mummy taps. Whenever you cycle a card, discard a card, gets +1/+1. This is actually good and limited if you can get enough of them. The Manticore enters the battlefield, put a -1 counter on a creature controlled, deals 3 damage to target opponent. This is insanely good in like an aggressive deck because it's a 5 mana for a 5/4, which is where you want to be. And then 3 damage to opponent right off the bat can be used as a finisher. So it's almost like a Lava Axe-ish with a creature body on it. Supply Caravan. If you control a tap creature, create a 1/1 Vigilance for 5. It's okay. We have a Colossopede, just a pretty generic 5/5 for 5. But again, it's right where you want it to be. A Doom Dissenter. When Doom Dissenter dies, create a 2/2 black creature token. That's going to be very good if we're going to go in. Look at the synergy already. Boom. Very good synergy. A Destroy an Artifact Cycling. Decent sideboard card. Won't make the main. Distribute 2 -1 enemy counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. Distribute 2. Okay, so it's 2 counters that can go on up to 2 creatures. So that's a very good card. Instant speed, removal in black as well. This is pretty terrible. 3/4 for 4 mana. Hooded Brawler. If you exert it, gets +2/+2. Sure. A Time to Reflect. Exile target creature if it's blocked or blocked by a zombie. If we get enough zombies, it can be worthwhile. The Grim Strider is actually pretty decent and sealed because by the time you're going to be casting it on turn 4, your hand might be close to empty. So it's most likely going to be, I don't know, 4/4 when you cast it, and then it can get up to 6/6. It's probably too much of a liability. We'll have to wait and see if we get enough stuff to utilize it. The Trial of Knowledge, very, very, very good card. Draw 3, discard 1, and then if you get a cartouche, then it goes back to your hand. So this is a very powerful card, and wow, we're just opening up the God pack. So we have the Kefnet the Mindful, but this is the hardest God, I think, to get online in sealed. Blue-black control might be good. Hippo, got the Hippo token. Okay, Fix the Glare. We're on to pack 2. See if we can get some more cards to work with the 2 gods we picked. We got an Ancient Crab. How many times are we going to reprint this card? A Minotaur Sure Shot, which has reach for 3 mana, and then it has a pseudo fire breathing. Very good filler card. We have an Anointed Priest. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield, you gain a life and Embalm. Talkrop Skirmisher, Embalm, a 2/1. This is actually a pretty good card because it's just pure value. So that works out pretty well. We have a Greater Sandworm. Has cycling and 7 mana. It can be used as a finisher. Not the biggest fan of 7 manas in sealed. A Miasmic Mummy. Each player discards a card. It's card disadvantage because you're also discarding a card. I don't know, you get a 2/2 body, but it can work with like Embalm. It's decent. Naga Vitalist, add 1 mana of any land can produce, it's okay. Not the best at fixing because it actually doesn't fix except for colors you already have. So it's good at hitting like 2 colored mana, but I don't. It's fine. Pursuit of Glories can be good, very very good if you have a token strategy, as instant speed +2/+0 is insanely good in limited. We have an Unwavering Initiate that has Vigilance and Embalm. That's a perfectly acceptable card for a 3/2. And a Trespasser's Curse. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, that player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I think this is going to be pretty good in a black-blue control deck. And if we can splash into red, like this Enigma Drake is, I think that's kind of the route that so far, our green's pretty decent too. Our white's also decent. But, of course, if you get 2 mythics, you want to try to go in those. And black has removal already and some really, really good cards. Enigma Drake is a X4 or a star 4. Power and toughness is equal to power is equal to the number of instances and sorceries in your graveyard. So it could be something we could splash in to go heavy into control if we get enough cards to go with it. The True Art Twins has Exert, and whenever you exert a creature, creatures you control get +1/+0. Again, that's a very key card with tokens if we can get enough of them. Angler Drake. Flying. When Angler Drake enters the battlefield, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. Love this card in a blue-black control. And our rare is right on color with the Commit Memory, which says put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library, or second from the top. And then each player shuffles his hand into his graveyard and draws 7 cards. That's actually quite weak for a... Well, the Commit's fine. Commit is perfectly playable in limited. So the memory, if we do decide to want to cast it so we unload our hand, we can then draw back up. And I guess in a control deck, if we can draw into more cards, it might be better than, you know, it just all depends on the matchup. And then a couple of tokens here. So, on to pack number 3. So pack number 3, or actually that's pack number 3. We have a Heckma Sentinels. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, again, it gets +1/+1, so that can work out. The Prowess 1/3, very good card. Another untap zombie. The Naga Oracle, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any number of them back in your graveyard and the rest on top in any order. It's okay. The Pitiless Vizier, whenever you cycle or discard a card, it gains Indestructible. That's actually quite powerful and limited if we get some more cycling cards. Spidery Grass works with Exert very well. Another Distribute counters, extremely good. Another Pursue Glory, but we just don't have enough things to make it worthwhile. A Naga Vitalist, if we were ramping, now the Naga Vitalist strategy would be pretty good. The Winds of Rebuke, we get a return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Each player puts the top 2 cards of his library in the graveyard. This could help us out with like finding more stuff to embalm. Plus, it's just a disperse, so it's a powerful card. 6 Sense, very powerful and limited, extremely powerful, especially if you can get it on like a Skulk or Menace or Unblockable card. This is a really, really good card. The Warfire Javelineer, oh, this just draws a card when you do combat damage to a player. When the Javelineer enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature and opponent controls for X number of instant sorceries. So we're back to this instant sorceries. If we can splash into red, maybe this can be a thing. So we'll have to wait and see. The Scaled Behemoth is actually pretty good. It's a 6/7 for 6 mana and hexproof. So it's a good finisher, but the gods are smiling on us because we get another really good rare, which is Plague Belcher. And when it enters the battlefield, you put 2/1/1 counters on target creature you control, and then whenever another zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So if we can get more zombies, this can be a nice little finisher. Plus you can put it on a weaker card. It has Menace and a 5/4. It just upgrades a card. I mean, this would be perfectly acceptable if it says as additional cost to cast Plague Belcher, sacrifice a creature, but it doesn't even say that. You just have to put 2 -1/1 counters, which you can actually, in certain strategies, could be a good thing, not a bad thing. So all of our rares are so far on color. We have some strong red cards and some strong green cards. White is actually starting to become outclassed. So I hate to go into 3 colors because we don't have any fixing at the moment, but hopefully we can get there. Another Sparring Mummy, no really Exert cards. Another Naga Oracle, it's okay to fill up. I don't know. Tormenting Voice, this can help with the cycle/discard strategy and help kind of with like fixing to a point because you can get rid of lands that you don't need, or to try to draw into other lands. And I mean, we do have those cards, and whenever you cycle or discard a card, they do stuff. So Tormenting Voice works very well with those. So I'm liking the blue. I'm liking Grixis so far. Supply Caravan, you get a 1/1 warrior again. We've seen this card. A 3/2 flash. Don't underestimate these type of cards in limited. They're very powerful. We have a Soul Stinger. Enters the battlefield with 2 -1 counter on target creature you control, and then when it dies, you may put a -1 counter on target creature for each -1 counter on Soul Stinger. So this isn't bad. It ends up being a 2/3. If it dies, you get to put 2 -1 counters. We're gonna most likely use this. The Horror of the Broken Lands has cycling, and then when you cycle discard a card, it gets +2/+1. Decent little card. The Desert, when it comes to play, it does damage. You're not going to want this in sealed, especially if you're in 3 colors, because it's terrible fixing. It doesn't fix. So unless you're really, really down to 1 color, splashing another color, I still don't think I would use that. This card needed to be in the Zendikar to be like playable in limited / or draft or sealed. Another Naga Vitalist. Wow. Another Pursue Glory. That makes 3 of each of these, and 3 of the mummies. The Consuming Fervor. It's Enchanted Gear is +3/+3, and then you put a -1 counter on it, then you drop keep. That's a very powerful and an aggressive strategy. I don't think it wants to be in this one. This one's great because you can untap permanents, so the Vizier of Tumbling Sands is great, and we definitely would use it. And we do have a Trial of Zeal, which is insanely powerful because it does 3 damage to our creature or player for 3 mana. That is bonkers good in limited. And then whenever you play a cartouche, which I think we have 1 cartouche so far, and it's the wrong. Well, we'll have to look through it. Well, our rares are on par again, and this is insanely. Oh, we have a full art land too. So our rare is on color again. I mean, this is the good news, is we're getting all the rares, all the bomb cards are on color. This one is very good. Destroy target creature Planeswalker, and then later on you can get a 2/2 creature token and get rid of like a bomb card in your opponent's graveyard. So this is insanely good for limited. Sorcery speed's kind of awkward, but it's exactly what this deck wants right now. So Grixis is looking very, very powerful. We just need some filler cards to kind of get us to where we need. And a fixer would be great. The Bloodlust Insider, I don't know if it quite goes in this particular deck that we're going to make. The Sacred Cat is very good and limited again. If not, it gives you 2 chump blockers for 1 mana, and they lifelink on top of that. The Compelling Argument, which we could just throw it in here just for cycling, like literally for the card that wants instant sorceries. We have 2 of them that want it in there. We'd never use this, so we're not going to try to mill our opponent. I mean, I guess we have sort of a mill strategy going with the memory portion and the Compelling Argument and a few other cards but for the most part, no. Brute Strength, we could put it in there again for this sort of red-blue spells. The Pouncing Cheetah, I mean, we might just be splashing black I don't know. We'll wait and see. We have the Wanderer to Death, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to hand. Very good card because it has cycling. So if you don't have 2 creatures, this is card draw. If you do, if you don't, you cycle it away. Very, very good card. Another Vigilance 3/2, another Trespasser's Curse, so we can just start taxing our opponent. Thank you! Another hard removal spell. This pack was exactly what we needed because we also need the Evolving Wilds and another True Heart Twins. Too bad we don't have a lot of tokens because this would be so good with like a heavy token-based strategy. A Monitor that allows you to cycle for a land, and the Attendant, which is a decent little cycling card that you can embalm later. And this Temet Vizier of Naktamanun, it's okay. It gives creature tokens unblockable and +1/+1 each turn. It's probably pretty powerful and limited if you're into blue-white. And last pack. So we want, what we need is we'd want one of the on-color cycling lands for our rare would be fine, or an Evolving Wilds, or another bomb card in black and blue, or even red at this point. Fixing is going to be tough, but I think in this deck we're going to have to. I don't think we have enough playables out of either black or blue. And red has some pretty powerful ones we want. Another Supply Caravan, Illusionary Wrappings, removal, great card. Another Manticore of the Gauntlet, so this is another card that is fine as a finisher. A Winged Shepherd it's decent. Spidery Grasp. The Flying Gained Haste, I don't think I'd play this in a Grixis control-based deck. And you gain 1 life and put a brick counter, you gain 2 life. This is actually quite playable in this particular deck because we probably do need to stabilize versus aggro. And this is 2 life per turn, which is pretty decent. Alright, it'd probably be a sideboard card that we'd bring in. A Compulsory Rest, which is a pacify with a downside to it. And we have a Serpent, which has cycling, so can't attack unless there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard. We'd still probably want to run it in this deck because we do have the cycling strategy. And we have Horror of the Broken Lands, which also works with the cycling. Unfortunately, green spells cost 1 less, but it actually doesn't. You can ignore that because whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature gets +2/+2 and trample. So that might actually be viable in this deck. It's gonna be close. 3/3 trample. Other creatures have trample. Not what we're looking for. And a Dispossess. Choose an artifact card. Completely useless rare for sealed. It gets rid of the artifact card. So, well, I think its Grixis still looks really good. We'll see if it's worthwhile to splash red. As far as fixing these cards, always have is Evolving Wilds. But we do have a few of the uncommon cards that deal with cycling. And so I'm going to put together the best list, and we'll meet you back here. Alright, so here we go. Here's the best I could come up with. The thing I like about this deck is it's got answers to everything. Our removal package is insanely good. Problem is it's 3-colored, and so I need to run lucky and not get mana screwed. And the problem is every color has a card that wants 2 of 1 color. And the white is pretty important because our Oketra's attendants are going to be one of our finishers. It can cycle though, so that's the upside to it. So I decided on this route rather than another route, trying to go into the red. There just wasn't enough red to really justify running the spells route. I did like a few of the cards for red, but it just, a lot of them didn't really synergize with the control route. The 5/4 that did 3 damage and put a -1/-1 counter didn't quite really get there. So the other deck that I thought I'd build, that I thought would be pretty cool to build, would be a red-green. Red-green was actually pretty good. With Tormenting Voice just ended up being a filler. It was my 23rd card. Sixth Sense is my 22nd card. It does have a little bit of synergy in this deck, but we don't have any early things to make it worthwhile. The Monument is insanely good in this particular deck because we have Monument that gives trample to cards like the Manticore or the Gauntlets that are 5/4s that then could become 7/6s and then attack in. And they've already done damage too. So they've already done 3 damage. This alone could be lethal between these. The Trial of Zeal is just insanely good. We didn't get any cartouches to actually make it that much better, but it's still an incredibly strong card by itself. The Brute Strength has trample to give our big beaters trample, again with the Manticores. And Spider Grass are our removal trick in this deck. They also work with a couple of our Exert cards. The Bloodless Insider is an early card that can give our bigger cards haste. And these Trueheart Twins end up needing to be in here because we are a heavy creature-based deck. They can give +1/+0 to everything and swing in for that lethal turn, especially when it has combined with the Monument. What's really strong about this deck is the ramp. So you have a lot of 5-drops, and these will ramp us up there. And because they don't care what color they're producing, they're just producing it. The Hexproof 6/7 is perfect in this deck, as well as a 6/5 for 6, and a 5/5 for even 5. Even the 7/7. So you'd run 23 lands with this deck, and we can get to these. So these are going to be hard for a lot of cards, or a lot of decks to actually beat if you do get one of these out. We have the mid-range is pretty good too, with two Pouncing Cheetahs and a Hooded Brawler, as well as a Kenra's Charioteer. So that would be the green-red option, which I think is fine. This would be a decent strategy to go. I like to play Control in Limited. It's one of my favorite archetypes. Esper is by far one of my favorite archetypes. And this just does what I want to be playing. So I ended up going a Embalm strategy, because my white had a lot of powerful Embalm cards, like the Sacred Cat, the Anointer Priest. The Temet, Vizier of Naktamun, is really good too, because it works with this deck. So at the beginning of combat, a creature token is going to get +1/+1. So say the Sacred Cat's back, it's going to get unblockable and +1/+1. That alone is a really good synergy. The Anointer's Priest is going to help stabilize a 1/3 body. The Doom Dissenter just is like a Doom Traveler. And the Takrop Skirmisher is just another Embalm card, because we do have this sub-zombie theme with the Plague Belcher. So Plague Belcher is great in this deck. This gives us access to both the gods, the Bontu, the Glorified, and the Kefnet the Mindful, which are going to be our finishers. And then we have some 3/2s that can crack in and then later on become embalmed. So all of our cards are going to give us 2-for-1 value. So we need to just grind out our opponent. And the attendants will give us 3/3 flyers twice, which have the ability to cycle. Angler Drake just seems super powerful in a format with Embalm, and a bunch of other stuff that it seems like it's worthwhile to return creatures to their owner's hand. The control is super good in this deck. So we have one card draw spell, which is the Trial of Knowledge. That's fine. It's 3 cards, discard a card. No cartouches to work with it, but I do think we want some sort of card draw. So that's going to be our card draw of choice. But we have a 5-drop Exile Any Bomb spell. Perfect. Perfect card. A Commit that puts it back on top of its library, again, creature tokens, and it's put target spell or non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. The Memory, if we need to use it just to fill back up our hand, sure, I'm not against it. The Never and Return are going to be insanely good because it's going to be just like another Embalm card. Destroy a creature, then get value out of it. And hopefully get rid of a card out of our opponent's graveyard that's good. The Illusionary Wrappings is fine just because it just takes care of a creature. The Splendid Agonies will take care of anything early. And there are, I don't know how big of a deal 1 toughness is in this format. I haven't researched it too much. But in like Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, 1 toughness was huge. So we have access to those. And we have the Winds of Rebuke, return to non-land permanent. Each player puts top 2 cards of the library. We have stuff to do with our graveyard with Embalm. So it's a Disperse with an upside. A Pacifism with a downside is still good. And the Time to Reflect is super synergistic in this deck because all of the Embalm creatures that come back are going to be zombies. So I think it's worthwhile to put it in here because more than likely we're going to use it. So, and even this dude puts out a zombie. Even our, what are their split card? Our Never and Return also puts out a zombie. So that's what I would go with. Our sideboard has access to the Trespasser's Curses if we're going up against like a token or an aggro-based strategy. The Trespasser's Curses can come in as they can tax our opponent. And we also do have that artifact that can gain life. If I really need to clog the board, we have Supply Caravans galore. But I just don't think they're the right route to go. So that's definitely how I'd build this deck. I don't think that I'd go with the green or an aggro, but you never know. You can sideboard your entire deck if you feel like it. Anyway, this has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.